Pakistan, where 3 soldiers were killed. It did create a lot of anger here in Pakistan. Certainly the government gave very angry statements. They closed the border because a lot of supplies for NATO come through Pakistan through the land route from Karachi, from the port in the south, up to places like the Khyber Pass. Well, the Khyber Pass has been closed. Dozens of trucks we hear carrying fuel, carrying clothes and other spare parts and supplies for coalition forces are stuck there, but other convoys are still coming up. This one was attacked, we hear, while the trucks were waiting at a fuel station, and witnesses say that there were a number of militants who fired on the convoy, and a fuel tanker exploded, and that led to this huge fire there. Convoys have been attacked in the past along this route, but of course this will be seen as direct retaliation for that attack 24 hours ago.
Okay, let's get the latest now on the business. Jamie's with me. Japan and China taking the headlines at the moment.
Yes, let's start with China, because China's particularly interesting this week. We've had this sort of kind of ratcheting up of tension because we saw the House of Representatives pass on Wednesday that law which would allow them to penalise China because it wasn't allowing its currency to strengthen. And today, Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, has come out saying, we don't want a trade war, we don't want a currency war. The problem is, it seems as though there's one already underway. I was reading one blogger last week was saying that during a single week in September, we saw 12 interventions by 12 different central banks to try and weaken their currencies. Because at the moment, everybody wants a weak currency. This is going to be something that's going to be increasingly a theme over the next few weeks, and we're really beginning to see it starting to ratchet up. As I say, Mr. Geithner's trying to take some of the heat out of it at the moment, and that's what he's been saying today. And the Chinese reacted very badly when this law was passed by the House of Representatives and said it's going to seriously damage Sino-US relations.
Right, what about Japan then?
Well, Japan, what we've seen with Japan is about 2 weeks ago, they intervened in the currency and managed to weaken their currency by about 2 percentage points or so, and that was fairly satisfactory. But since then we've seen the yen gradually gathering strength, and it's very close now to that level at which it was when they intervened, and we're expecting possibly another intervention quite soon, because the Japanese, just like everybody else, want a weak currency, and not everyone can have one.
No, well, they haven't got one, have they? That's for sure. Jamie, thank you very much indeed. Well, the long-awaited UN report into allegations of human rights violations by Rwanda in the Democratic Republic of Congo is due to be published in just a few hours' time. A leaked version has already said that the number of Congolese victims were in the tens of thousands. The Rwandan President, Paul Kagame, has responded angrily to the claims that his forces carried out atrocities in neighbouring DRC which amounted to genocide. Here's Mark Doyle.
And ethnic Tutsis and their allies were killed in just 100 days, a killing rate faster than the Holocaust of the Jews in World War II. But what really changed the politics of the continent was the subsequent takeover of Rwanda by the Tutsi-dominated rebel group that stopped the 1994 genocide while the rest of the world looked away. It was led by Paul Kagame, then a brilliant rebel general, now described by his enemies as a ruthless politician. Chasing their Hutu enemies, Kagame's men from tiny Rwanda came to dominate events in their much larger neighbour, Congo. But a leaked version of the United Nations report on human rights violations in Congo says they also went much further. It says Rwandan soldiers with Congolese allies attacked Hutu civilians as well. And the report says the number of Hutu victims was probably several tens of thousands. It concludes that these were systematic and widespread attacks which, if proven before a competent court, could be classified as crimes of genocide. The now President Paul Kagame was furious when the draft was leaked.
The whole conception of making this report was totally flawed. Even the whole idea of just going on the ground to look for a genocide that took place, because the whole idea of thinking that there was a genocide in the Congo is flawed. Where the genocide was is clear and it was open.
It was publicly agreed that Rwanda would be allowed to add its comments to the report to be officially published today. Now everyone will be scouring the UN document to see if anything else has changed. Mark Doyle, BBC News.
Okay, just want to take you over to the Nigerian capital, Abuja, because it's the 50th anniversary of independence there, and this is the pomp and ceremony that goes with such celebrations. We're waiting for President Goodluck Jonathan to inspect the troops. Had a military parade in the city. We've had fireworks. We'll have plenty more in terms of paraphernalia that goes with a major celebration as well. But just giving you a flavour of the more formal side of the anniversary celebrations taking place in Abuja. Right, Adnan's here. Just looking at this glorious weather out in Abuja.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not so wonderful in Celtic manner in Wales, is it?
Well, the time of year that the Ryder Cup is played, the players know that they're going to get rain, but it's been so bad that we were talking about standing water an hour ago, and now they've suspended play. At the moment, it's very early days, of course, it's the opening foursomes. Europe are up in 3. The United States only lead in 1 match, and that's Jeff Overton and Bubba Watson. Tiger Woods and his partner, they are currently down by 1 hole, but things can change so quickly. Really, the weather forecast is terrible for the weekend. And of course, you know, they've been squeegeeing around trying to soak up the water, and they just haven't been able to. You know,
Best laid plans and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,